Born in Mexico, Kat Von D moved to California when she was 4. At an early age, she was hooked on the arts. At 14, she got her first tattoo on her ankle. Since then, she has created her own tattoo shop in Hollywood, performed on television in her own show called LA Ink., and set a Guinness World Record for the most tattoos in 24 hours. LA Ink. begins its new season on TLC on July 28th, and Kat Von D continues to make headlines for her upcoming wedding to bad boy Jesse James. She visited Studio 4 earlier this season. Here is our conversation. You are impressive. You were speaking Spanish with my floor director, Sergio, and I assume that comes from your lineage.
Sure, yeah. English, actually, English is my second language. My family, my mom and dad are from Argentina, but we were born in Mexico, my brother and sister and I. So, yeah, I'm just, like I was saying, just all mixed up from all over.
And they crossed the border with you when you were about 4.
4, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, but what is the von Drakenberg? Because the D stands for Drakenberg, and that sounds like there must be a German somewhere, or an Austrian count.
Yeah, my father, his side of the family is of German descent. So that we actually have a castle, our ancestors' castle in right outside of Cologne, the von Drakenberg Castle.
Really?
Yeah, it's a museum now. I'm going to go visit it for the first time on this book tour.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's totally exciting.
Yeah, no kidding. So who taught you the art of tattoo?
I kind of, I learned from a lot of people. I think I was raised by wolves in that sense. Like, I didn't go through the traditional apprenticeship that most tattooers go through, and instead I started tattooing at a really early age, and by the time I was 16, I got into my first professional tattoo shop where I had to kind of learn just from watching others and absorbing as much.
And did you practice on one of your siblings, or who did you practice on?
When I was 14, I think I had a plethora of underage friends that would love to get tattooed and couldn't at the time, so lots of practice, I guess.
Well, as you know, in your parents' age, people who got tattoos, they'd say, "Oh, must be a criminal."
Oh, sure.
Or you'll never get married if you have a tattoo.
Yeah, I think times are changing, and I think that with the success of television shows like LA Ink. And stuff, people have really embraced tattooing as an art form, which is, I think, a really positive thing.
Well, you embrace tattooing, but you also embrace the piano.
Yeah, I've been playing classical piano since I was 6. My grandmother, on my father's side, she taught me. She's a pianist, so yeah, I still play till this day.
How many pianos do you have?
I have 5 or 6 now. I mean, I have 2 pump organs and then a few pianos and a harpsichord.
Not in the same house?
Yeah, in my bedroom. Believe it or not, I'm obsessive compulsive, so you'd freak out at my house. But
now that is a big bedroom.
Yeah, it's not that big actually. They're kind of stacked on each other, but.
And why Beethoven?
I've always had a fascination with Beethoven. I'm a hopeless romantic, and anybody who knows his story with his immortal beloved and just his tragic life, I think is very inspiring, and I love his music.
Immortal Beloved, I know that because I read this book, that Nikki Sixx.
Yeah, Nikki Sixx,
Yes. Sat down with, was it in New Orleans you watched it? There's someplace you watched Immortal Beloved. Either you bought it or he...
Yeah, we were looking, when we first met, he had never seen the movie where Gary Oldman portrays Ludwig van Beethoven. And so we went everywhere trying to find it, and we watched it. It was great, yeah. I forgot that I actually mentioned that in the book. Yeah.
And Nikki Sixx, a love story for you, really. How did you meet? How did it come about?
I met him through Scott Ian and Pearl. Scott's from Anthrax, and Pearl did a lot of singing with Motley Crue when they were on tour and stuff, and so they knew that I was newly sober and that he lives a sober lifestyle, and they thought we'd be a great match. But we ended up being really good friends for months before we actually met, just via text, and something blossomed from that, so it was good.
Well, if you can believe everything you read,
which you shouldn't,
which you shouldn't, he is very romantic, that boy, and so are you. Yeah. So that worked.
I'm a sucker for that stuff, yeah.
How did you do it? You're a workaholic. He's pretty much a workaholic. Yeah. His heavy metal schedule, your schedule.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about that in the book, and that was like a lot of our ups and downs. And the reason I shared it in the book wasn't because it was a form of gossip or showing off or anything like that. It was just more about talking about the normality of our lifestyle and how the struggles that we have, and in hopes that it'll help others too, and Nikki's a really great father of 4, so throw that in the mix, it's even harder to find time. But we managed to do it, and I think anything's possible.
How so?
Anything's
possible.
Yeah, I think if you want to make the time, you'll make the time, And we were actually fortunate enough to figure that out, and we didn't break up because of that or anything like that. But and we still remain really great friends. So.
Well, it's so important to remain great friends, I think.
It's hard. I've never done that before.
You haven't?
No, I mean,
because you had one husband, right?
Yeah, and I don't have any enemies. I just never really stay in contact, But I think with Nikki, it's just I did so much growing up in that relationship, and I learned so much from him, and we learned from each other. So I think like I've always said, we'll grow old together.
Sure. Well, it says it's through suffering we are able to learn perspective and build character.
Yeah, I believe that Nietzsche said that.
He did.
Yeah.
When you tattoo someone, you say it's obviously an intimate experience of sorts, but it can be life-changing for you.
Oh, it's totally life-changing for me. It's really interesting. I wrote my first book a year or 2 ago, and then this book is so different. And even this book tour itself, meeting fans, and these kids give me letters that they handwrite to me, like in junior high and stuff, and I read them, and I had no idea that the book would resonate with people. I think there's a lot of loneliness and sadness, and a lot of depression too, which I'm pretty open about my struggles with it at times. And making somebody else feel less alone, I mean, it makes everything worth it.
Is there a thread that runs through many of the stories? Somebody comes to you at your parlor, and with a sketch, I assume, or an idea, or a reason.
Sure.
Is it because of a sad event, a happy event?
I think it's all walks of life.
Just because?
Yeah, I think it's all for all reasons. I think that people generally they don't get tattooed out of boredom. They're usually getting tattooed because it's something important to them, And I think me doing portraits in particular, getting somebody's image tattooed on them is such a monumental thing, and I end up learning a lot about people just from those few hours together.
One of the people in the book who you tattooed, the arm has like the friendship arm.
Yeah. I'm Shadows from the band Avenged Sevenfold, and I thought that was really cool. He plays in a metal band, but I think a lot of their fans would be surprised to see what a true down-to-earth, sweet guy that he is. He tends to sing about a lot of dark things. But in the end, in honor of all of his friends and loved ones, to get that tattooed, I thought that was really cool.
Yes, and one has all people who have gone, Marilyn Monroe and John Benet Ramsey and
Princess
the whole.
Di.
Is that Starr?
Jeffree Star, that's right.
He's a friend of yours.
He's a very dear friend of mine. So we've actually been able to grow older together throughout the years and get to know each other through tattooing, and I feel very blessed. He's a big part of the book, actually. I tattooed him a lot that particular year.
And about the hair.
Yes, exactly.
Does he call you to say, Kat, what color should it be?
No, I mean, it's always a crazy shade of pink, but I think all of his stories are really inspiring. He tends to have a very outlandish I guess personality, but deep down inside, I think he's got just as many fears and as everybody else. So.
Sure, as we all do. Dr. Wayne Dyer is here tomorrow.
Oh wow!
And his new book is about shift and how to go from a life of shopping to a life of deeper meaning.
Yeah, I love that. That's I think making this book, and it's one of the most honest things I've ever made, and very emotionally invested into it, and I didn't do it to sell a bunch of books. I just did it because I felt it was important, and I think the older I get, the more I want to do small things with a lot of quality, and I guess I've been experiencing a shift.
Well, being workaholic, as we all tend to be, fighting for success, getting there, and then saying, now what?
Yeah.
What is it really all about?
Well, I guess too, it's like a matter of perspective on what is success. I feel like I was successful prior to the television show. I was really happy and, couldn't ask for anything more. And so all this is icing on the cake, I never imagined I could be sitting here with you talking to you about this. This is so cool.
Well, it's cool for me, for sure. And I don't have a tattoo yet, but maybe next time I'm in LA,
awesome.
I might have to drop by. The problem for me and for many, I think, is what do I want?
Right. And I think until you know 110% what you want, you're good the way you are, I like, people with no tattoos. I think it adds to the diversity.
Sure. Well, somebody has to do it.
You're
somebody
the new rebel now,
Somebody has to be like a plain Jane, don't you know? You tattooed a police officer. Beautiful, beautiful
Jason
tattoo.
Solk, yeah.
Tell me about him.
Man, I could have really honestly written a book about him, and I think a majority of that had to do with the size of his tattoo. He was a relatively tall person, but we did an entire rib piece, and it was a Duret, the Lost Paradise. And so it's a very detailed tattoo, and we actually had I had the honor of spending over 10 hours with him and getting to know him. And man, talk about inspiring. Just I think seeing the world through a police officer's eyes. They see a lot of stuff, and I think they're very undercredited people for what they do for us. So
underpaid for sure.
Definitely.
When you think of just that daily.
Yeah,
daily grind. Did he work homicide or anything, or do you
he
remember?
worked so many different parts. Now he's actually doing a lot of publicity. He's such a good speaker, and I think it's really cool to see what we're all capable of doing in the endurance.
Sure, absolutely. Your first tattoo was a little J on your ankle.
Yes. Yeah, it was for my first love. His name was James, and I still have the tattoo, and I still love it. The relationship only lasted 3 years, but that was right when I first started tattooing, so it was a monumental time for me.
Do you tattoo yourself?
No, I've tattooed myself when I was younger, out of boredom or trying to practice.
Oh, fine.
Well, just not having somebody at the time and really being an enthusiast. But not anymore. I think it really hurts. I'm a wuss. And so, having to focus and deal with the pain is a lot, I think.
And what do you suggest we do to deal with the pain? I've never had a tattoo, so I don't know how much it hurts or doesn't hurt. It's probably more irritating than anything.
It's nothing you can't handle, I think if I can do it, you can do it. But I have, I guess, a little bit less of tolerance, so I don't last as long. But yeah, I think, the old fables of like getting drunk before you get tattooed, those are all things you shouldn't do,
Exactly. Ask a sailor.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
No, it's so true. And I read a book on tattoos several years ago, and in it the research said, I don't know if it's still true, that in prison, criminals who have tattoos, the most common tattoo is mother.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, who knew?
I love that.
The guy's name is John Gray. He's from here. He's an actor and a writer, and he wrote the whole history of tattoos.
Wow.
I should try and get you a copy.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And so, mother in prison. Go figure.